when Allah says about the warning of the time, the day to come and the result of it, etc., it is extensively mentioned. Nearly every other verse is referred to it. And especially in the end chapters of the Quran, in the end chapters, it's mentioned in every surah. Nearly. In the end chapters. Again and again and again. Some of the titles are referring to it as well. About the nar and the blazing fire and everything. So it's very much, Allah SWT given certain descriptions to it. لَابِثِينَ فِيهَا أَحْقَابًا إِنَّ جَهَنَّمَ كَانَتْ مِرْصَادًا. As some of the verses are reciting, it's such a blazing fire that it ambushes you as well. That there are people like it will become unexpectedly. That sometimes refer to people that they are living sinful life during the world, that when the death comes to them, now hell is their ambush. That some refer to that, and some refer to in the day of judgment, that they will be given that trap. Because it's like under the bridge of Sirat, Jahannam is. And if you're not being given, tell me this, if you're not being given admission to Jannah, where's the other destination? Is there any other destination? Only two destinations. From the grave to the day of judgment, it's just the two destinations. There's no middle ground. And this is clearly mentioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam, Prophet Noah, he built the ark, the boat. And he lived for 850, 900 years, some say. His son said to Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam, and Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam was given now, for 800, 900 years he was giving the message, calling people. And they weren't listening to him. So Allah SWT instructed Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam to build the ark and put all the creatures on there, and whoever follows you, let them come. There's no now protection other than the one that's on the boat. So Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam, his wife wasn't listening, his son wasn't. Then when the animals started coming, some people started realizing that even the animals have some thought. So some people started coming, very few, on the boat. And Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam's son said that, "Oh father, I'll go on the mountain." Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam goes, Allah SWT has made it very clear. It's either you're on the boat or you perish. You can think the mountain's going to protect you, but once Allah's given His word, He's given His word. I don't think even the mountain's going to help you. So he said, "Oh, okay, I'm thinking," he self-directed, he said, "I'll still do it, I'll go on the mountain." And Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam was even rebuked, Nauzubillah, meaning careful how I'm saying, that he wanted to make dua for them. And Allah SWT said, no, the ones that have not come, that was their dua. That was their savior, you were the savior, to come on the boat. That was the final thing. And even as the boat had sailed, some narrations mention that the mountain crumbled as they were floating away, that even his son was drowned. As such. Meaning there's no middle ground here. So similarly, you'll be deluding yourself if you think that there is another destination as such. So really, it's Jannah and Jahannam, the two destinations as such. So, and it's referred to many names as mentioned already. And it's eternal. So it's not going to end as well, Jahannam, and it exists presently. And I'll be going through some of the descriptions so you get a bit of an idea of what it is as such. When the hellfire sees them from a distant place, they will hear its fury and roaring. Fear the fire whose fuel is men and stones, which is prepared for those who reject faith. That even Jahannam itself is like a roaring beast. It will come at you on the Day of Judgment as such. And here's us mentioning the two final destinations. So there's a path to Jannah and the path to hell. And as you can see in this here image, not many will enter Jannah. Majority will be in the hellfire. And that's quite a scary thought as well. That only a few ثُلَّةٌ مِّنَ الْآخِرِينَ وَقَلِيلٌ مِّنَ الْآخِرِينَ. That the few of them will be the successful ones. Whereas hell will be filled with men and women because of their wrongdoings and the actions, etc. On the day when we say to hell, are you filled? It will say, are there any more to come? So even on the Day of Judgment, that when Jahannam will appear, it's not just a place as well. It's like the Prophet mentioned that when Jahannam will come on the Day of Judgment, and it will appear like a roaring beast. So many angels have to chain it. So many angels, mighty angels, will be chaining it from 4 sides, 5 sides, just to control it. And even the ones, the pious people, the pious, like the awliya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when they see Jahannam, and they've been told they're going to Jannah, but when they see the blazing beast, they start having fear in their hearts just by seeing it. And just so that a person understands how size of it, does anyone know the size of Jahannam? Gee. 70 years. They mention, the Prophet mentioned that it's so deep that when it's dropped, something is dropped, some say 70 years, some say 70 million years, that is reached to the bottom because of the narration of the Arabic. But yeah, mashallah, that's how deep it is. That's just how deep it is. The Prophet once with his companions, and they were in a gathering, just like here, and they heard a rumbling noise, a bit like an earthquake, something shook, as the brothers, mashallah, shared. And they mentioned, Ya Rasulullah, what was that? The Prophet mentioned that there was a stone, a rock, that fell 1,070 years ago, and it just reached the bottom of hellfire. And that's what you just heard now. And these things. That the sun, the blazing sun that we see, it will be like a skittle to Jahannam. That's why some of its narration mentioned, because on the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, those who you worship the sun, like they are sun worship, etc., the sun will come in front. And we mentioned you worshipping this, the sun will enter Jahannam. Like a skittle, Jahannam will grab it, swallow it. The idols that you are worshipping, Jahannam will swallow it. And all of those who've been worshipping him, it will grab them. This is who you worshipped. The people, the celebrities, those people that will take you away from Jannah and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Jahannam will take them first. It will grab them. Because the angels can't control. Once his eyes are fixed on the prey, then he will grab. That's why some of the narrations they say that keep your eyes down, lower your gaze, not just in this life, even in the next life, so that Jahannam doesn't look at you and you look at Jahannam. Once his eyes are fixed on you, then it's your destination. So it's taking the sun, the solar system, like a black hole is swallowing that. Then what are we as such? So it's quite so that's how, meaning the seriousness of it. So it's like a raging beast. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, even then we will say to Jahannam, is that enough? And it will say, no. Is there any more? It will be calling upon more. Like a hungry beast has been waiting and waiting for this day to grab us, to take us. So even hellfire even has gates of hell. And they are managed and protected by keepers, the angels that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructs. Just by looking at the gates of hellfire, a person will be screaming, saying, oh, don't enter me into this hellfire. Just by looking at the angels in Jahannam that are doing the torturing, and the gatekeepers, a person will be screaming, saying, keep me away from that. And yeah, even Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, there's a narration where he mentions, where he had a beautiful relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was Khalilullah, Prophet Abraham, Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. He used to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala particularly about Akhirah, because in those times they lived for a longer period of time, and prophets and awliya, they yearn to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Their concern is always about wanting Akhirah. That's like the real destination. So the mind is on about that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in a narration in the Quran about Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam asking, how will we appear on the Day of Judgment? So when you resurrect us, O Allah, how will we appear? How will you? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that, gave him instruction, get 3 chickens, 3 or 4, and slaughter them, then cut them, mix their meat, then put them in 4 mountains or 3, I can't remember exactly, then put their meat, disperse them on the top of the mountain, then come to the bottom and then call them. And then they appear exactly as they were in their full form when he calls each one of them. Because he was interested in these things. So he asked, because obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was merciful and showed that to Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. He then asked later sometime, "Oh Allah, when we die, how will the angel Sayyidina Israel alayhi salam, Prophet, the angel Israel, the angel of death, how will he appear to the sinful person on the grave?" Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Oh Ibrahim, it'd be too much for you to bear. I know you are my beloved Khalid, friend of mine, and you want to focus on Akhirah, but this will be too much now for you to bear." But Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam was insistent. So one of the angels then came, and it was Sayyidina Israel alayhi himself came to Sayyidina Ibrahim, and he again insisted, "Oh Sayyidina, oh Prophet Ibrahim, please don't let me, it's not something that you don't need to, you are alhamdulillah Prophet and may Allah Ta'ala." So Ibrahim alayhi salam insisted. So he told Sayyidina Ibrahim to turn around, and then he told him, "When you're ready, then look." So when he turned, the same angel, Sayyidina Israel alayhi salam, was now a hideous figure, a scary, full of blackness and fire coming out of the nose, from the ears, from the mouth. It was like nothing like he's seen before, nothing like he smelt before. Not just the image, but darkness came around, like like you see in the movies when there's a horror movie. The aura just turned all around Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, such that he fainted. And he only, for 3 days, his namaz was qaza. So he woke up after 3 days, he was under shock. And Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam says that, by Allah, that this is enough, just seeing that was enough torture for a sinful person. That's at the grave. That's at the angel of death that comes when he sees a transgression person. That's just the beginning. Imagine the angels of hellfire and the gatekeepers forcing you into this blazing fire, forcing you into this pit of torture and things. So and each time when you're at the gates, every person will be saying, "Please ask Allah to lighten the torment." And they will be such that they will be rejecting. So these are such angels that they will be following Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's orders strictly. And does anyone know the main angel? The leader of the angel, of the gatekeeper of hellfire? MashaAllah, what was the name? Malik, yeah. Malik, that's the name of the angel. Malik. The Prophet ﷺ met Malik in the Isra wal Miraj, when the Prophet ascended the heavens. And he's one angel the Prophet saw. He was greeted by many angels on the way. Ridwan, Sayyidina Jibreel obviously was taking him, Sayyidina Mikael and other blessed angels. all were welcoming and greeted him. But Malik, he didn't smile. When afterwards the Prophet said to Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam, I noticed that every angel, every person smiled, but Malik, he didn't. Then Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam said that he is the gatekeeper of hell, O Prophet. And when he saw hellfire being made and seeing the consequences of it, he never smiled after that. And if he was to smile, it would have been when he saw you, O beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he is the gatekeeper of hell, meaning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given clear concern, and even the hellfire itself has got stages and things. So they don't appear like other angels. They will appear like Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam saw, like beasts coming to, waiting to do the torture and waiting for you as such. There will be food and drink because of the punishments of the grave, of the hellfire, the blazing fire, the heat. Just think that there be constant torture, constant pain. Because of the heat, a person will be hungry. A person will be hungry and thirsty. So here, they be forced to eat. They want to eat first because they are hungry, but then they will see the food that Allah mentions Surah Waqia and other surahs, that there will be a tree called Zakum that they will be having to eat from, the inhabitants of hellfire. And this tree, its roots, they go so deep into the bottom of hell. And the fruits of them are the skulls of demons. And then you'll be forced to eat them. And they will choke in your throats. That thorns will be coming out of your throats. Imagine what's the closest description you can give of something like this in this world? Imagine someone telling you to eat holly bush or stinging nettles. Or a cactus, that's a good one. A cactus. All of these things, a cactus, and they will be like dessert for you now. That would be like having sweets. In all seriousness, that's like your favorite dish. Now, cactus and stinging nettles. And even poison in this world will be even sweeter than whatever you've been given there. Zakum. And the Prophet mentioned that if a drop from Zakum, just a drop from the fruits of Zakum, would land in this world, all of the whole earth would rot. The whole earth, that's how distasteful, how gross it is. That just one drop of it, and you're forced to eat from the leaves of it, from the trees of it in Jahannam. Some of you probably thinking, how is it that this will be done physically? I won't survive. Oh, you won't survive. That's true. In this life, if you're forced to eat some of these things that are harmful to you, what would happen? What would be the consequence? You would die, wouldn't you? So what would happen in Jahannam? There's no death. The reward. So what will happen first, when you're at the gatekeepers, you're telling the angels, please don't let me come inside. Because of seeing the torment. Just seeing it is enough, is torture. And then going through this torture and pain and difficulty, and consequently, death is what you'll be asking for now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions they will call for death now. Death will be in this world, in the dunya. The highest form of punishment, they say capital punishment, is death, the death penalty. Yeah? The lightest punishment would be death in Jahannam, but that you're not even given that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let them call for 70 deaths, they won't get that now. Because you see, this was the consequence. If it wasn't for death, you would have been transgressing all the time, for eternity. Like now you're seeing the torment in the world. Children are being killed. Can you imagine that we're living in this world now where we have food on our table and there's man-made starvation happening to our brothers and sisters? Man-made genocide. Children who done nothing wrong. So you really don't think that this hell is a manifestation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's justice? That if they didn't die, these oppressors, if you and I who are causing oppression in our own households, in our lives, if death didn't stop us, we would be doing it all the time. That's why the eternal punishment is there. And the opposite goes for Jannah. But I'm not here to talk about Jannah at the moment. Sorry to be gloomy. I'll let that continue later. But Jahannam is such that you would think, I can't survive this. How can you survive? You can't. But you're forced, your skins will be grown again. You'll be forced to live, to bear that consequence. Just like you were torturing the others around you, you murdered, you oppressed, you bullied, you violated, you initiated crime, you initiated sin, you stood on the fence, you didn't do anything to help, you are just as culpable. So here is your consequence for it. So that was the zakum, the food. And air and will be hot. And your drink will be boiling water and pus. That will burn your stomachs. How many times of the older lot here get heartburn? How many medications we need to relieve our discomfort of our own stomachs and etc. Just by drinking something hot, we can't even bear it. Just as a raise of hands, how many of you has ever experienced being burnt? Just a raise of hands. Whether it's by a fire, whether it's by water, whether it's by anything. Just being burnt. Just raise your hands again. It's probably, those who haven't got their hands raised up, I'm very, very worried for you. Yeah? Either you have been living a, mashallah, very protected life, may Allah bless your parents and others around you. Yeah. But normally, everyone would have had would have burned by something, whether it's iron, whether it's etc. But generally, just seeing the people here, about 90% put their hands up because we've experienced something that's burnt. And now normally what happens when you feel that burn? What do you do automatically? You scream. Yep, there will be screaming happening. What else? Something to cool it down. Something to cool it down, yeah? That's true. What else do you do? Just before that. Yeah. You don't bear that torture more. You stay away, reflex. If you touch the hot iron straight away, we'll get away from it. If you go near something, yeah. And then you cool it down. So in Jahannam, there's nothing where you can do you can't, your body will be shaking, it will don't want it, skin will grow again. And then you try to cool yourself down in Jahannam, in this pit of hellfire. And then you'll be given hot, something worse than to drink. So it's like torture upon torture. These are going through some of the horrors or experiences of hellfire. And like many things in hellfire, there are shayateen there are dragons there, all sorts of torture. And many people will be suffering in different places. So we're just going to go through a little bit of that, etc. And these things. Just so that set the scene. Now, the lightest punishment the Prophet mentioned. The lightest punishment the person who will receive in hellfire is a man who his feet will be on top of a smouldering ember, like a hot coal. Just his feet will be placed under the arch of his foot, and then this will cause his brain to boil because of it. That's the lightest punishment the person will get in Jahannam. Just in case we want to be Nauzubillah, if we are sent to the hellfire and then we're told what's the lightest punishment, that even the brain will boil. And the Prophet mentioned, and there's something that the Prophet mentioned about a person who suffered a lot in the dunya. That one of the people of Jannah, one of the people of Jannah who've been dipped into. So just an example here, that a person who went through so much torture in the dunya, difficulty, problems, when they come on the Day of Judgment, they'll be dipped into Jannah, just dipped in there. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through the angel, will ask that person, how was your time in the dunya? How was your time in the dunya? This person went through severe torture, like we are seeing now in places, every day. Lost a loved one, in front of them murdered. They themselves been tortured, had no food, had no friends in this world. Is that you and I sitting here now? Maybe not. Yeah? Most likely not. They've gone through so much torture in this life. They get dipped into Jannah and they be taken out. And the angel will say to this person, do you tell me, how was your time in dunya? And they say, I didn't feel anything. They will say that whatever that you just gave me now was so good that I forgotten everything that happened to me in the dunya. So alhamdulillah, this is important as well for us to know that even those that are suffering, that we believe and we firmly believe, as well as we should be also standing up for them as such, as the Prophet instructed. But we also know that those who've been suffering, Allah will compensate them. Just like this beautiful hadith the Prophet mentioned, they've gone through so much torture, but because of the beauty of Jannah, all is forgotten. It was just like a dream for them. Not even that. And then another person who found most pleasure in this life, in this world. And he will be, on the Day of Judgment, he's one of the people of hell because he had so much pleasure, did whatever he or she wanted to do, had everything, but they violated Allah's rights, they violated the creation's rights, etc. They be dipped into hellfire. And then they be asked, O son of Adam, have you ever seen anything good? Did you experience anything good in this world? The criminal will then say, oh no, nothing. It's like they've forgotten about this world. Nothing. I can't remember anything. 70, 80 years they lived and they didn't get any benefit from that, just by being dipped in the hellfire. So the 60, 70 years that you spent thinking, yes, I can do what I want. I can play around with people just to benefit me. I can get whatever girl I want because there's no consequence to it. I can make any money I want, whichever way it is. I can do whatever I want. I don't have to listen to such and such. I can do this, I can do that. And you sacrificed it, what, for all these years was nothing. Just by being dipped into hellfire, it's all forgotten. Such a torture it is. Such a pain that it is that you've completely forgotten. So the person is really a fool when you think about it, that they're letting it all go by just one being dipped into hellfire. Imagine now you're being there for one day, for half an hour as such. So this life was meaningless. That's why you wish you were never even created. You wish for death now. But we forget, we made that promise with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's a reality. That's a covenant that we made. We're not like the angels and the mountains and the other creation, that when this offer was made, would you take this amana upon you? What was that offer that we took upon? Did someone said it? Yeah, the free will. Yeah? That we chose this free will. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it clear that, O son of Adam, that if you fulfill this trust, I will reward you as no one else has been rewarded before. But if you violate this trust, so the choice is in yours and mine hands. That if you violate this trust, then you will be punished as you've never been punished before. So now we are here in the testing ground. And out of Allah's mercy, He is reminding us that we will have to face the consequences. It's actually mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Mercy, forgiveness, so that you and I can be free from the hellfire. Because some people, like Jannah is there to motivate you, but also Jahannam is there to motivate you. It's to motivate you. To do what? What is it to do, Abu Bakr? Scare you. But it should do, shouldn't it? But what's the difference though? Or not the difference, but is it a reality? Yeah. You see, the doctor tells let's say Brother Hamza, tells the doctor, look, you need to lose weight. I'm not saying that Hamza's overweight or anything. You need to stop eating snacks. Yeah. Because you will now be able to run more, you're able to be able to live a healthy life, you can enjoy more, you live longer, and it'd be good, etc., etc. Then Hamza comes back after a few months, 5 months, and the doctor's looking at him and he's gone even 10 pounds more. He's supposed to be losing weight, he's gained more weight. So the doctor's had enough of now dangling the carrot, as they say. Now the stick will work on Hamza. Yeah. Now, do you want to get diabetes? Do you want to get a heart attack? Do you want to die and you don't get to see your children grow up? Do you want to have a widowed wife? Do you want to see your parents crying at your funeral because you didn't bother to follow the advice? Yeah. Separately, Hamza might be calling NHS England, making complaint, this the doctor said to me, etc. Then the doctor has to, yeah. But the doctor's had enough now. He knows that that's going to, because that's a reality, but also the carrot's not working, he needs a stick. It's the nature of us. It's the nature of us. So Allah's mercy is making it very clear about the blazing hellfire. Making it very clear that your time is coming and Jannah is there but you're not grasping it. But Jahannam is here as well. And if that can motivate you to at least stop doing harmful things, then alhamdulillah. Then praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because we are really, out of 100 people, 99 are going into hellfire. That's the reality of it. You don't need to see that on the Day of Judgment. You can see it now. You can see the hell that people are causing. And you want it. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does it, because it's justice. Those that are being tortured, justice needs to be done for them. We want justice for others. It's a reflection of Allah's quality. But the problem is we are not thinking about ourselves, that we are not fulfilling Allah's rights. We are violating it. And then we are just walking into this trap, an ambush. So Jahannam is being held. On the Day of Judgment, it will be held. It will be as they say, it will be controlled by angels, but once it takes you, it captures you as such. And so much so, the reality is that when Jahannam comes, that person will do whatever they can to get out of it. That they will even say that take my mom. This is the severity of Jahannam, replace my own family members instead of me. Allah mentions that in the Quran, the criminal will wish that he could be ransomed from the punishment of that day by his children. Imagine Sadiq's now looking for his dad. Yeah. That you will say that take my children to replace me. He will ask to ransom his wife. Some of you are thinking, smiling now, astaghfirullah, or husband. Some will replace their brother. See, what will happen when you're in such torture, the only people that will come to the mind are the ones that you lived with, isn't it? So the best friend, Zafar will help me out. Zafar, come my place. Zafar's hiding behind a safe now. See? Zafar will, that's it. Sorry Zafar, I'm not saying that you're my mind. Astaghfirullah, may Allah protect both of us and all of us. Yeah? But it shows you that what a good friend he is. He's the first one that came to our mind. But it's the ransom, that meaning it will be the first people to come. They will ask for that. But no, Allah mentioned, no one can save him. And it will bleed him. Each time they're calling for him, the fire will bleed him. It will come even deeper now into that person. So they'll be screaming for more. They're bleeding them. This is the reality. Because majority of the people that enter hellfire, majority of people that enter hellfire are like, they've been led through the company of other bad people. They're like sheep. So in hellfire, they be blaming the person that they've been following. They be blaming. They will actually say that. They will say on the hellfire that they was Prophet mentioned, they will call that person that they were following. And that person is screaming in hellfire themselves, saying that I myself was doing this, you followed me, I didn't force you. Each pop star you were following, each rapper you were following that was taking you astray. Each of these gangster friends that you had that were doing drug dealing, fornicating, backbiting, oppressing, they are also screaming in hellfire. And even such, they will lead you to shaitan in hellfire, and he himself would then end up doing a talk. That I never had any control over you, I only invited you into this hell. Meaning invited you to do sin, you chose it. So make this crystal clear that you're only entering hell because of your own actions. La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not punish you because of someone else's action. That's Allah's justice. It's because of you falling into that trap. You taking they invited you, but you took that invite. Indeed, those who disbelieved in us, our verses, we will drive them into the fire. Every time their skins are roasted through, we will replace them with other skins. so they may taste the punishment. Indeed, Allah is ever exalted in might and wise. So, even this verse, I know, like, from reading some, even scientists actually have, became Muslims from, that were non-Muslim, because in the skin, the pain receptors are present there. So, when each time you bleed, or each time you're burnt, the skins will be replaced, so that you feel the torment again. So Allah will be, because in the olden times they didn't realize that the pain receptors were in skin, they thought the pain receptors were from the brain, etc. So when they were studying this verse, they thought, some scientists, they realized that, this means that there must be pain receptors from the skin as such. But meaning that the torment will appear again and again and again. Poured upon their heads will be scalding water which is melted, that's within their belly. So hot boiling water will be poured upon them, melting them, even going into the internal organs as well. What are you thinking when you are listening to this or watching this? Gee. Scary, isn't it? How about yourself? Stick approach, isn't it? Indeed, the criminals are in error and madness. They be dragged into the fire on their faces. It will be said, taste the touch of hell. That's the treatment. From their faces they be dragged. There's even in hellfire, there's other places like a cold place. Even like some sections of Jahannam, they are cold, like a punishment through coldness as well. And one of the other severe punishments of Jahannam is the loss, is the lack, is there no happiness, is depression and grief. Of course there will be if you're punished like this all the time. And there's even different levels of Jahannam. There's a level of Jahannam for polities. There's a level of Jahannam for sinful people of certain organs, sinful people of different religions that have been abandoning the true path. Then there's also the deepest level, the seventh level, the worst level. Does anyone know who that belongs to? Sorry? The hypocrites. The hypocrites. They be at the lowest level. They be the fuel for the rest of Jahannam. Such a punishment they will have. And so the hypocrites will be at the right at the bottom. They are people basically that, generally speaking, they believe, they say they believe, but secretly they didn't. They have different signs. Anyone know signs of a hypocrite that prophecies have mentioned? Gee, brother.
Someone who breaks the promise.
MashaAllah, yeah. When he's given a promise, he breaks it. Anyone else? Another one? When they speak, they lie. Gee. Yes, much of the prophets have mentioned that the hypocrites, they will they hate praying Fajr and Isha. Normally in Jama'ah. Why do you think that is? Ji.
It's hard to wake up at Fajr and being out.
Yeah. MashaAllah, yeah. Because these prayers require a bit more sacrifice. So your sincerity is checked a bit more. That's one reason. The other is obviously in that time, Fajr and Isha time, they didn't have lights like we have. So it was dark. So no one can really see you who's praying. Whereas before you were coming because it's my friend's watching me, the Prophet's watching me, Nauzubillah, other people watching me. So you were doing a part of the crowd. But when it came to being alone or no one can see you, then your true reality comes out. So just thinking about this, and there's a third one also, when their trust is given to them, they break that trust. So when they speak, they lie. When they're given a promise, they break it. When a trust is given to them, they betray it. Think about this amongst ourselves. Those people will be at the bottom of hellfire. So all of these scenes and images I'm showing you, you're seeing, they be just worse of that. We're just seeing images. At the moment, the images haven't made you faint, like Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam fainted, has it? No? Because it isn't a reality, just an image you're seeing. If a real angel came, then all of us will be fainted. We probably wouldn't even make it out alive. That's the seriousness of this. So much more description can be given, and there's each time the person thinks there's hope, he gets punished as well, depending on the level of the crime. Level of the crime. Now, is Jahannam, who can enter? Can you be a Muslim and still enter Jahannam? Is that yes? Yeah. So who will enter Jahannam from the Muslims? Who don't pray. Just don't pray? People who haven't sought forgiveness for the wrongs they've committed. People that did it for show, like hypocrites as such. G. People? People who have a lot of sins, yes. If the sins are heavier and they're not been forgiven on the day. G. Maulana. So Mullah Mustafa Mashallah is clarifying that there are two types of hypocrites. One that actually have, their hearts are darkened. They're disbelievers, but they claim to be believers as such. They are the ones that are engulfed at the bottom of the hellfire as such. And then the others are signs of hypocrites. People still believe, but they're acts of hypocrisy, etc. But the importance is that will they go unpunished if they don't seek forgiveness? If they repent. This is why we are here, to seek that. My job is to give you more about hellfire. Unfortunately, I haven't given the mashallah setting the scene for the other teachers who go through more about the qualities of the inhabitants of hellfire, how to save yourself from hellfire, and how to stop making hell on earth as well, inshallah. Are there any questions for now? Because mashallah this. So Allahumma ajirna minan nar. This is the dua that normally recited after Tarawih prayers and regularly in this last 10 days of Ramadan. So to protect yourself from the hellfire. Some of ji.
I mean, listening to your presentation, and one thing which you mentioned, it makes really frightening situation that I'm living now. 99% of people, because of their own doing or undoing, will end up in hellfire. It is truly scary. Truly scary.
It's not a risk worth sacrificing. Because that's really what you're going to do. You're sacrificing your whole eternity. Even if you're in a day in hellfire, you can't even bear to be, like we were mentioning, anything that's hot, we reflex, we don't want to even bear a second more. How can we even bear even 10 minutes of hellfire, really, in the torment of the next life? So mashallah, jazakallah khair for sharing that.
One question here. Sorry.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Jazakallah khair, Ustadh. So I wanted to ask two questions. One of them is, for those that experience eternal punishment of the hellfire, and given Allah's justice, does that indicate that the weight of the sin is so severe that because the punishment fits the crime? That was the first question. Yeah, I'll pause there.
You can ask the second
question. The second question is that the hadith you mentioned on the burning embers under the feet. So does that mean the punishment of the hellfire is physical, like on our physical bodies, like when we're reconstructed from the Day of Judgment? And then is that an indication that whatever we physically experience as pain in this life, it's not close to what we experience in the next, but it's an indication of what we can experience because it's physical?
Ji, mashallah. So yes, it is the physical. In answer to your second question, will the punishment in the hellfire be a physical punishment as such? Yes. How you are made, etc., the sensitivity, the punishment, the intensity, that will be different in terms of how you are compared to in this world. Because if you are punished and you are burnt, like for example here, your skin, let's say, is burnt, like a 3rd degree burn. After that burn, you cannot feel anything. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you physically He replaced the skin so that you start burning again. Physically, you are not allowed to die. That's a power Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given. So yes, your physical dimensions will change in terms of, in this here, your body cannot bear anymore, so the heart will shut down as such. But in there, it won't have that ability. It will be given prolonged sustainability, but the intensity, the pain, that's also not unimaginable as such. So just like, for example, the example I gave Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, he physically couldn't bear just the sight of the angel of death when it turns to the sinful people, how it appears. So the body physically couldn't handle it, so it went into unconsciousness. So in Jahannam, the body will be given the ability to remain conscious. So it goes through that torment, etc. That's the opposite of with Jannah. Jannah will be forever bliss. Every single thing you taste will taste sweeter, sweeter. Yeah. So each time you taste something, it will taste nicer. It's just there's no boredom in Jannah. So every day, every moment's excitement. Fragrance is coming out of your sweat, etc. So there are physical changes, but these are so there will be changes, but it is physical as such, all of it. What was the first question again?
The first one was, for those who have eternal punishment, given that Allah is just, of course not cruel, does that indicate that the weight of their sin is so great because the punishment fits the crime, essentially?
Gigi, see the weight is very important. The sin, the crime that you commit. You see, I could be doing all sorts of things in this life, but if I decide to kill a baby, they're not going to just look at how many good deeds I've done as well, and how many, if that alleviates it, etc. Meaning, if I do that sin is, that crime has its weight. Just similarly with good deeds, if maybe one good deed is your salvation because of that sincerity, that devotion in that good deed as such. But so the opposite applies. So if the weight of the sin is heinous, then that can have great consequences. Look at Shaitan. He worshipped for many, many years. Did sajda in every place on the earth, then in heavens, and then amongst the angels. What did he do? One, disobedience. He did not want to prostrate to Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam. And that's his major crime. Yes, he's now committing crime. He's now affecting the ummah, and he's doing waswasa, and there's background to it. But the weight of the sin is also very important in that mention. Does that help answer the question? There's a brother with a question there.
This will be the last question, because we're conscious of time.
Jazakallah khair. So related to that last question, it's almost maybe a question that gets commonly asked, which is why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala create hellfire? For the believers, it's clear that it's a motivation, but the punishment for the disbelievers is so immense.
So it's a reflection of Allah's justice. So as I was mentioning earlier, there's many wisdoms. One of the wisdoms mentioned by the mashaykhs and teachers and such is that if you left them to it in this world to carry on with the crimes, they would have committed the crimes eternally. So they carried on bombing children, carried on initiating harm, carried on causing oppression in this world. So as a justice, the punishment is eternal as well. Now, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala manifests that over time in the eternity, that's between Allah and how He exercises His justice. He is the all just, and how He knows that. But as a wisdom, the person was going to always be in disbelief, always going to deny Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, always was going to denounce that there was one Allah, even though guidance was given again and again. So okay, now the punishment is there for you to show you eternally that this is what you wanted to do. Eternally, the only thing that stopped you was death. Death has came. That was the blocker. Remove death out, you have been doing it eternally. So the punishment eternally. Similarly, opposite. Why is it that you get to live in Jannah forever, even though you only did maybe 30 years of worship? Only 40 years. Even in that worship, it probably wasn't the best. most likely not the best. But Allah's mercy and love for us, that He's rewarding us as if we did it forever and ever forever. So, and also the Jannah was created for us. Remember, we came from Jannah. Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam was made from Jannah. He was come from Jannah. That is our true inhabitant. So Allah wants us to go into Jannah. He wants everyone. He's the one that's created. All goodness comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is really our destination. That's really where we should be there for eternity. Hellfire is a consequence of denying it and rejecting it, and if we were here for eternal, we'd be doing that eternally. Does that?
There's just a small addition.
Ji.
The assumption is that people are killing babies, and that provokes a strong image. But for assuming there are kuffar who disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala but live a good life, for example, the crime I understand of shirk is a severe one, and it's not to downplay it, but how would you explain this to people who have a doubt?
I gave one example, but the severity of the sin is between Allah and the person. Just like brother mentioned, the weight of the sin is that as such. So if a person is denying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they, generally speaking, if they're living a good life and the reward is given in this life, generally speaking. Yeah. And then Allah knows some people who weren't given the message, etc., of the true deen, who knows what their end was and what the day of judgment decrees for that person. So there are people that may have never heard the message as such, for example. So for them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will look at their good deeds and bad deeds and weigh them. And then they maybe enter Jannah based on that as such. So it's for those that had the message may have not reached them as such, etc. So the torment of hellfire is in reflection to Allah's justice, and how He manifests that could be done over time, meaning if that fits Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy and justice, etc. So alhamdulillah. But it's the importance to know it's a reality, and that you see, if someone's warned you of something, if I warned you that this is going to happen, but yet you blank refuse it, then that's also like asking you, there's a punishment coming from that point of view. MashaAllah. So just to, and this is going, MashaAllah, to the question, to some of the questions you've asked and other brothers have mentioned. The Prophet said that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created paradise, He said to Jibreel alayhi salam, go and look at Jannah. And he looked at it. And then came and said, Ya Allah, by your might, anyone who's seen this, anyone who's seen the beauty of this, they will do whatever it takes to enter it. They will not fail to enter it. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surrounded Jannah with certain things, desires and things, and then told Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam to go and look at it again. And then Jibreel alayhi salam went and looked at it and then came and said, Ya Allah, I'm afraid that no one will enter it. And similarly, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created hell, He said, go and look at it, O Jibreel alayhi salam. He went, he came, and he said, Ya Allah, if anyone ever seen this, they will not want to enter it. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surrounded it with desirable things. And then go and look at it, and Angel Jibreel alayhi salam said that, Ya Allah, I'm afraid that no one will remain. They will end up going to it because of the attraction. So this goes back to the nature of this world, that it comes with its tests and tribulations, that people are falling for their desires and the tests that are coming in this dunya. That's why we're sent here. That's why it's here to unravel, so a person can inshallah benefit. जी माशाल्लाह. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Jazakumullah khair. May Allah bless you all for participating. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah. Inshallah, we'll take a break, take a good 20-minute break, come back, we'll have another session. And the next one is a theory and a practice. It's a muraqabah dua. Some of you may be familiar with it, some of you may not have, but it's a very, very powerful session to help fulfill those lawful desires that you have in your life. So inshallah, see you back in 20 minutes. Have a good stretch.
तू उस